Assalamu alaikum students. I'm back with another lecture. Uh, Hope you people are doing good by the grace of Almighty Allah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala embellish you with the sound of laughter and sparkles of joy here and hereafter. Last time we were talking about compounds. Let me recapitulate certain important points which we discussed in the last video lecture. Regarding the compounds, I told you people that a compound is a substance. A compound is a substance composed of two or more elements that are chemically combined to form new substance with new properties. We discussed that very thing. Let me make more clear. Table salt is a compound. Its combination of sodium, this is sodium plus chlorine, forms NaCl, and this is table salt. This table salt is also called as common salt. This is also called as sodium chloride. It's a combination of one element here is sodium and another is chlorine. When there's a combination of two elements, one element is sodium and one element is chlorine, the substance formed is a compound. That's why I told you people that a compound is a substance composed of two or more elements that are chemically combined to form a new substance with new properties. Look, sodium is a metal. It's having its own properties. Metals do have their own properties, and as far as chlorine is concerned, chlorine is a non-metal. Non-metals do have their own properties, and as far as the sodium chloride is concerned, the sodium chloride is having entirely different properties than that of the sodium, than that of the chlorine. That's why I told you people that a compound is a substance composed of two or more elements that are chemically combined to form new compound, new substance with new properties. That's why I told you people sodium is having I can say entirely different properties than that of chlorine. Chlorine is having entirely different properties than that of sodium. And when there is a reaction between the sodium and the chlorine, the substance always gets formed, that is compound. And this compound is having entirely different properties than that of the sodium, than that of the chlorine. That's actually it's a valediction of the statement which I told you people, that these compounds are composed of two or more elements that are chemically combined to form new substance with new properties. For example, let me give you one more example. For example, this is carbon plus oxygen. It forms carbon dioxide. This carbon is having its own properties. For example, carbon is having property of catenation, that's property of self-linking, and this oxygen is having property, that means it helps in burning. This carbon dioxide is entirely different, has entirely different properties than that of the carbon, than that of the oxygen. So from this discussion, I can say draw a conclusion. The bottom line of the story is that whenever there's a formation of a compound is having entirely different properties than that of the elements. When they combine with each other, when the two elements combine with each other, there's always the formation of a compound, and this compound is having entirely different properties than that of the elements. So as far as these properties of compounds are concerned, the first property regarding these compounds is that the properties of compounds are quite different from those of their component elements. I told you people that whenever there is a compound formation, there is always the combination of two elements. Whenever the two elements combine with each other, there is formation of a compound. For example, so hydrogen is a gas that burns in presence of oxygen. For example, this is hydrogen. This is hydrogen plus oxygen. It gives water molecule, H2O. What does this statement mean? This statement means that the properties of the compounds are quite different from those of their component elements. For example, this water is having entirely different properties than that of hydrogen and than that of oxygen. For example, hydrogen is a gas. This hydrogen is a gas and it burns in presence of oxygen, because oxygen is having property that it helps in burning. Whenever I talk about oxygen, oxygen is having important property that it helps in burning, and this hydrogen is a gas. And whenever I talk talk about this water molecule. There is a formation of a water molecule when there is a reaction between hydrogen and oxygen, and water molecule gets formed, and this water molecule is having entirely different properties than that of the hydrogen, than that of the oxygen. That's why the product of this chemical change, this is a chemical change, means chemical reaction in change is water, means whenever there is elemental combination, when there is I can say formation of a compound from two respective elements, a liquid that can stop materials from burning. Hydrogen is a gas and it burns in presence of oxygen. Oxygen helps in burning, and this water actually stops stop things from burning, materials from burning. This means that this compound is having entirely different properties than that of the reactants. So first property regarding this compounds is that in general the properties of compounds are quite different from those of their component elements. These are the component elements, hydrogen and oxygen. This water molecule gets formed, and this water molecule is having entirely different properties than that of hydrogen and then that of oxygen. This actually supports our statement that the properties of compounds are quite different from those of component element. For example, this hydrogen is a gas, it burns in presence of oxygen. That means this hydrogen is having entirely different properties than that of oxygen, and this oxygen is having entirely different properties than that of hydrogen, and this water molecule is having entirely different properties than I can say from oxygen than hydrogen. That's why I told you people that compounds are quite different from those of their component elements, and the product of this chemical change means there's a chemical reaction, there occurs a chemical reaction between hydrogen and oxygen. The product of this chemical change is water and a liquid that can stop materials from burning. And